Namaste. Namaste, my ass, right here on this channel. Welcome once again to the Super Sully Sunday stream. Hello, Lane Kramer out there. How you doing? It sounds like Sully is getting his center on. No, I'm found and recycled and recollected. Hello, and Zod has fallen. All hail General Zod. Big R.I.P. to actor Terrence Stamp, who was also Chancellor Valorum in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Welcome to the Super Sully Sunday stream here, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, coming to you from our Boston studios here at the hub of the multiverse here in Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America, North America, planet Earth, third stone from the sun here in our solar system, which is nestled in the outer spiral arm of this, our very own Milky Way galaxy, part of our local group of galaxies inside the Virgo cluster of galaxies, which is inside of an even larger filament and group called the Laniakea super cluster of galaxies, which is inside ensconced by the totality of the known universe, which could be part of an ever-growing, wonderful, terpsichoreal, gossamer kind of idea. One mosaic and a tile in the grand mosaic of the multiverse of all possibilities, which is yet to be discovered and fathomed and plumbed. Hello, Dwayne Muth. Hello, James. Good to see you. Nice thumbnail, my friend. Yes, that was an actual moment from Boston FanExpo 2025. We'll get into that. We're going to review some comics. I didn't read a lot of comics this week. And AL, hello there. Pikachu just got really excited to see you, too. Yeah, I got a little bit of a static charge right here. You know, geez. Come on, calm down. She's got her own Pikachu. Cup of tea. You know, it's 3 p.m. It's time for a cup of tea to help me through the rest of this day. Hello, I've had a nice weekend, pretty mellow. I was on Wes's Thinking Critical yesterday, 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern on Wes's Thinking Critical channel. It was his 300th episode of Comics Aficionados. I've been on the show. I'm in my third year of being a comic aficionado. I am very proud to be part of the team, and we all met up back in Dallas in late May. May 30th, 31st, and June 1st was the Dallas FanExpo at the K. Hutchinson Convention Center, right in downtown Dallas, down the street from Dealey Plaza, the notorious place where John F. Kennedy, president, on 11/22/1963, was pew-pewed and unalived because we can't say grown-up words on YouTube or something, you know, something like that, you know. And how are y'all doing out there? Good to see everyone out there. Sorry about last week, but you know, I had just got back from the convention. I was pooped. I was up wicked late that night. We all went out and had supper at the barbecue smokehouse. Andy Husbands, he's a local chef of renown, restaurateur, one could say, and he got great food, and it's a great restaurant. We were there in 2022. One of our fellowship, Thomas Gilkey, arranged a nice reservation. There was like 16 of us at the long table. He even split the bill. Lots of gratitude to you, Thomas, for putting that together. And we met Thomas this year, too. There was a small group of us that went to FanExpo 2025 Boston this year. I only went on Saturday, and that was enough for me. Like I said, I'd already gone 2 days at Dallas FanExpo. So, hey, there's your 3-day pass right there. But I'm pumped. Hey, waka waka. Future cons I might have in me. On October 5th, on Sunday, there's going to be the Wicked Boston Comic Con down at the Sheraton Hotel and the Seaport across the street from the big convention center that we just had, the FanExpo Boston at. And also, I'm thinking pretty much I'll be going to Rhode Island Comic Con Friday, Saturday, Sunday, perhaps. It depends on like what trains are like. You know, there's got to be there's a commuter rail stop that will go to that goes to Boston, and it's quite frequent. That or an Amtrak, so it's the same rail kind of thing. But Providence is only about an hour away. Providence, Rhode Island, and it would be fun to check out a new con. We got Dwayne Muth out there. We got AL. We got Lane Kramer. We got Mo coming to us from half a world away in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Salamo, good to see you. We have a full house here today. That's great. Good to see everyone. So yeah, how many conventions are you going to this year? Have you gone to your geeky or comic book convention this year? I went to ConnecticCon back in 2022. I got to meet up with Dr. Rachel Lindbergh, aka Dr. Rachel Morgan, now because she got married to Jed, the Holly Scholar. You know, and they live happily ever after, and they met over these YouTube things too. So you know, there could be a geeky girl or a geeky guy out there for any of us. You know. Cheers. And Rhodesia Island, is that a pun? AL is yeah, no, I'm not a huge modern wrestling fan, Mo. I gotta tell you, gotta admit it, I am a fan of a certain age of wrestling, my golden years, when I was a small child, and it was the early 80s. And it was the heyday, the advent of Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, who didn't make his debut until early 1985, and I was 12. And he ended up being like my favorite wrestler. That was his WWF, not his WWE. It was the World Wrestling Federation. And they got into some kind of lawsuit with the World Wildlife Federation, who owned the trademark to WWF and proved it. So Titan Sports Entertainment out of Connecticut, was it Rhode Island or Connecticut? I know it's somewhere in New England. Had to change their logo, their iconic logo and brand from WWF to WWE, and they've been that way for over 30 years. So apparently they survived their forced rebranding, didn't they? I got bug bites on my elbows. Oh man, they're driving me nuts. It's like a steering wheel tucked into the front of my pants. Hey, waka waka. I know you come here for the yucks. I got a couple of comic books from the dollar bins. I did a couple of cute. I found some. We went diving in the long boxes, and it was a nice crowd. It was like 5 of us at max, 4 of us at once. I saw several people that I saw in Dallas, including Sigma Comics by H.H. German. He was not in Boston. Now feature this, ladies and gentle beings, and anyone out there in between in the grand spectrum of humanity on planet Earth and beyond. Why would you do this to geeks and comic book fans? Terrificon, the 10th annual Terrificon of Connecticut, hosted at the Mohegan Sun Casino. That is 2 hours drive away from Boston. There's no rail that gets there really. There's no direct bus there. There might be, I think there's a special charter bus perhaps, and it's got such a weird schedule, but it's off the beaten path. But it's at Mohegan Sun. It's a Native American reservation and casino, where they also have a huge music hall and convention facilities too. So it's a huge comic book convention. Like Johnny Romita Jr. was down there, Billy Tucci was down there, new friend of mine and comic aficionado Von Coleman was down there. The Simonsons, Walter and Louise Simonson were down there. Bunches and bunches and bunches of comic book creators were down there. And it's going on the same weekend as Boston FanExpo 2025 up here in downtown, at the Seaport in downtown in Boston. Technically not downtown Boston. It's right across the river. Well, actually, it's like the channel. It's not even the river. It's the channel. The Charles, not to be confused with the Charles River or the Neponset River. You know, it's not really a river. It's the channel, the Boston Channel. You know, I'm not making this up. So, but I'm like, oh, gee, like, did you have who's schedule of this? I would have gone. I would have found a way. I wanted to go to, you know, the Graham Nolan Memorial, and not really memorial, he's still with us, you know, but Billy Tucci, he said, like, at the Fire Tower, which is like this, like, you know, this outdoor place with a fire pit, 10 p.m. on Saturday, the Hawaiian shirt, cigar, and whiskey party. 3 things that I don't really enjoy, but I would have gone just to hang out with Billy Tucci, probably Von Coleman, and any other of the creators. Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor were down there. I mean, I want to meet these people. I want to get a picture with them. I want their autograph if I could. I mean, they're comic book creators. This is my culture. I'm on 2 different comic book shows. This one and Comics Aficionados. And sometimes on other shows too. Like, oh gosh, I feel so bad. But I was out. There's no, you know, it was Saturday night in August, and I'm out watching the baseball game. The Red Sox, and friend of the channel, Bandito Bane, he had his Geeks Talking Geek show, and I was unable to attend, but I was invited, and I'm on that show with some frequency, and along with other people we might know, like Wakazashi's Tea House, Gray from Japan, James Harris, the Ninja, Kenzo UK, and it's Geeks Being Geek. It's Geeks Talking Geek. And Bandito Bane tries to do that show as often as he can. I can't, you know, be on. I can't be everywhere at once. You know, not yet. Not yet. All right. Let's see. So buttons, as Ma says. This was fun. This is my favorite cosplay. It's one of those blow-up Pikachu suits. They're very common, and they also have like a voice box that makes authentic Pikachu sounds. You know, Pika. You know, I'm not gonna no Pika. I'm not gonna insult you by trying to imitate your voice. I can't get my voice up that high anymore. You know, I'm an old man. I've mellowed. But this was like my favorite cosplay. So you can, and the mouth has this window, and so the person wearing the costume can see out, and of course they're dressed like Venom, and so this was a mashup of Pikachu, a venomized Pikachu, and that was just one of my favorite cosplays. That and Jeff the Land Shark, if you could believe that. Yeah, Dwayne Mule says, I met Jimmy and Amanda back in 2005 in Pittsburgh. Great people. Yeah, and I want to meet the Simonsons too. I want to bring like this issue of or one of these issues of Marvel Star Wars from like 1981 and have them sign it, because Walt did the art and it was edited by Louise Jones. And so I want to ask them, did you two meet producing this book? Were you already an item? Is this, you know, like which issue did Walter ask you out, Wheezy? I want to know. I am a romantic. But ain't that cute? Exactly. AL nailed it. Sure, why not? Everyone gets a Venom suit now anyway. It's true. You know, it's kind of weird like that. This speaking of Billy Tucci, that's the Billy Tucci original. Well, actually, not original art. It's a print. Sorry, but it's I believe her name is Shamrock, done in that quintessential Billy Tucci style, accentuating a woman's natural beauty and booty. He draws beautiful women, kind of with a fineness, kind of like up there with Milo Manara and Frank Frazetta in a way too. Frazetta had like softer line, he had like softer lines. Like I think Billy Tucci shares an aesthetic more with Milo Manara, with like very kind of like razor sharp detail, but keeping in a certain tone and style. I love Billy Tucci's art. You should too. I got to meet Jim Shooter at New York City Comic Con a few years back. Got a picture with him. That's good. That's awesome. I wish I did too. I'm starting to take pictures now. Several years ago, a good friend of mine. Well, yeah, it's a little bittersweet because I feel as though they ghosted me. They were supposed to meet up with me from ConnectiCon 2022, and I even texted them and was like, "Hey, where are you? You showing up?" Never heard from them on Twitter, on DMs, or on text. Even after that, that was the last time I tried to, broach something. And we had made an agreement, like, "Hey, let's maybe meet up at ConnectiCon 2022." I was in Hartford, and I was in Hartford for a weekend, and it was just sad because it's like it's these dear friends. And it might have been over ideology, and it might have been over, my YouTube content about, my views on feminism specifically, and also how downright anti-progressive I get or sound at times. I do like good progressive ideas, but if overall they're obnoxious, unlikable, and insufferable. So it's, I've met AL says I've met Billy Tucci several times. He replaced all the books I lost from for free. That's why we love Billy Tucci. I ordered Billy Tucci's latest book too, about like he's doing like this time travel book starring his like ninja character, She, the beautifully drawn She, and also like the prototype version of her named Ron. And so it's like a team up, and they're tripping through time. And it's all of these different eras of comics with public domain, comics characters like Ms. Fury and even Popeye and like Winnie the Pooh's, in there too. Steamboat Willie, Superman is famously going to be in the public domain relatively shortly, within the next 8 years, I believe. Cheat Gatecrasher, got that too. Yeah, I'm waiting on that. So that's a Billy Tucci print, and he's signed by himself. And I'm looking forward to hanging out with him again. I would have gone to Terrific Con. I would have done both. I would have loved to have gone to go to as many cons as you can per year. That's local to you. That's so low. That's 2 hours away. That's nothing. Oh, that broke my heart to be like, why would you schedule that the same weekend? That's. I felt that was anti-fan. Cui bono? Who profits from that? Cui bono? Who benefits? Who benefits from that? Putting that, you're 2 hours away. I mean, I would have gone. I would have maybe seen who was like playing that night, on Friday, and gone to a concert. I'm not a big casino guy. Maybe spend $100. Hey, let me bring $200 to play in blackjack. I'm like, let's see, let the good times roll. Something like that, I want to, maybe next year, if it's on a different weekend, I'm gonna go, and you'll see some documented, and we'll have this show same time next year, hopefully, on a different weekend than FanExpo Boston. FanExpo Boston, it's my local con. This has been my 4th consecutive FanExpo Boston. 22, we had a big meetup with some of the fandom, the fellowship. We like Thomas Gilkey, the memes of destruction, snacks and comics, Snacks and Friends, Dr. Rachel Morgan, Brightest Day, Macklin Made It, D-Day Direwolf, Don Howe, God bless your soul and rest in peace, Marcus, Brian, and that's 9 people so far, and Steph for U.S. Marine, that's 10, and she brought 2 friends, so that was that's 12 people out of our table, just of hanging out, at our big table that Thomas Gilkey so nicely arranged for us in 2022, at the Barbecue Smokehouse, Andy, same restaurant we went to this year. The food's that good barbecue food, and I went last year. So in 2022, that's when there was Simcast Live, Chrissy Mayer's Simcast show live with Anna, that Star Wars girl, and Zia Anderson. And I got to meet, and I went in full cosplay, and it's August, so I went in my full Captain America regalia, and we met Jay Drunk 3PO. I got to meet Cecil, and I got a picture with John Delancey, who plays Q in the Star Trek shows. I got to get my book signed by a Daredevil book. I got it signed by Frank Miller that year, and earlier I got it signed by Klaus Janssen. So my favorite issue of Daredevil, I got signed by both people involved. And that was 2022. And then 2023, I got my picture with William Shatner. That cost $150. But going back to these friends of mine from Connecticut that, I was a little brokenhearted. I got ghosted. But I learned something from them. Like they went to a New York City Comic-Con several years ago now. They have a picture with Stan Lee. And as Stan Lee said, enough said. Think about it. You have this artifact of history. AL has a picture with Jim Shooter. I would have loved, that would be great. That was awesome. Oh, Dwayne Muth with his nigh infinite, command of comic book, esoterica and gnosticism. Love Dwayne Muth. Thank you so much. He's always a positive contributor to the conversation. Louise was Walt's editor on Battlestar Galactica. Walt, along with drawing, he started writing the book with number 19. Louise talked him into it, and he did it until 23. Nice. I would love to get that whole run of Battlestar Galactica, the whole run of Shogun Warriors. This was like a contemporary of Star Wars. This was one of the dollar books I saved. Yeah, so my Connecticut friends, that I feel ghosted by. Aw, poor me. I mean, but it's like, enough said. I mean, yeah, God bless you. Live life. I hope you're happy. And I hope you feel good, breaking my heart. You could have done anything. I think it's political or ideological. It's like you wrong thinker. I'm on the wrong shows. I'm on all, enough stinky thinking. But back to action. As the Power Rangers say, this is Casey. Casey is H.H. Germain's assistant from Sigma Comics. So, like we were saying, how we started off this conversation and got H.H. Germain, who I'm used to seeing at every convention because he goes to every convention with his book, Here Comes Calico. It's there were 2 conventions the same weekend in the same area. So Casey did Boston, and while H.H. did Terrificon in Mohegan Sun. And they always tend to sell out wherever they go. Floppies, trade paperbacks, and a tankabon manga style format. And also just, I bet you he's got a Spanish version up his sleeve because he's a Spanish speaker. He's Latino from New York City, man. So this is Casey. She's such a doll. I have to admit, I have a cute little crush on her. No, I don't, because I'm too old for that. And she's engaged to be married. But damn, if nice girl, you know what I mean? Or nice gal, nice woman, very pretty. And, she gave me the biggest hug. We all hung out in Dallas, at Dallas FanExpo. Casey and HH came out to supper with us on Saturday night at the Yardbird that Birch was hosting. and he paid for it too. And this is between us. I mean, he bought me a beer. He bought everyone a beer. He bought it. He was so generous. Thank you, Perch. I'm so happy. That was such a blessed evening. Such wonderful weather, a nice table, a charming company, such a diverse group. And there was like 14 of us at that dinner table. And Casey was one of them. So it was so good to see her and catch up with her. And she's cute all day, man. And just like, that's that. You sound like a simping moron. That's okay. I am. She's totally great, man. Isn't that great? Let's share this tab instead. So this was, speaking of tables, we all met up on Saturday at about 11:30 a.m. So going from left to right, we have my childhood best friend, Brian. I've known him for 49 years. I was 2 years old and he was 1. Our moms were best friends, and that's a really nice thing. Hey, before my mom passed away for Christmas last year, or her birthday last year, February, she passed in July, late July. So, but for February, I got her tickets to see Madonna, and she took Brian's mom, Marie, and it was it was very touching that they connected at the and still had their friendship. So it's same with me and Brian. I'm so blessed and grateful for him, and it's just like he's like another me. He just knows more. Seriously, he knows I think every inch of Star Wars expanded universe. I never had the brain for that. We also have next to Brian, going from left to right here. This is Mike. Mike is a friend of Thomas Gilkey's, and who is sitting to my my right here. So that's Mike. I just met him for the first time, and this is me. Hello, and so and last but not least is Thomas Gilkey, the Gilk man himself. He's doing this the Flutie 5K. I'll rustle up that information and drop that in the that link in the description or the live chat. Perch is cool. Perch is wonderful. I love seeing AL in the comments with Perch. Like everyone, even Private Citizen who abandoned the West. You know what I mean? Did he? Well, yeah, because I see him at Richards, and that's where he says that. Not at Perch's. But I see Adam Frey, and I see a bunch of you out there at Perch's. It's great, and that is a long friendship, yeah. And so yeah, I've known Brian all my life, and it's interesting. We reconnected over comic books because it was I moved out of the projects. I moved out of my mom's when I was, I think, 22 or 23, and moved in with a girlfriend who was living in Beacon Hill. Her dad was a heart surgeon from San Francisco. It was nice living in Beacon Hill for 2 years. Seriously, 2 different apartments. That's another story for another day. So, I didn't see Brian for a while, maybe about a decade or so. I saw him here and there, but it's just, and living in the same city too. So, but he random, I'm running a blog, my old blog, and I'm doing a hockey column. I used to call it the comics column. And this is the days of blogging. I ran a blog from 2003 to 2017, and talked about it before a couple of times. It was called The Comics Gnome Presents. The Comics Gnome with this mythical creature with a gunny sack of comic books that he would deliver every week. We were Wednesday warriors, and even then between us, but it was my second renaissance with comic books. I came back to in 2001 with Judd Winnick and Darryl Banks's Green Lantern with Kyle Rayner, and then Grant Morrison's New X-Men. Starting, I got the E for Extinction, thin trade paperback, the 2001 annual, and I was on floppies. That was a great time to come back to comics. But I started a blog in 2003, The Comics Known, and I was writing about, I think it was the Red Star. The Red Star was this very famous failed publication, and then Brian found me through a message board. He got my link to the blog, which had my email address, and then we reconnected. and that was about maybe like 15 years ago or so, or more, maybe less than 20 years ago. And that was nice. Yay. And here's just a random picture of stuff. These comic books, though. This is a comic book show, and this is right before the exhibit hall. These were the FanExpo Boston exclusive covers. I didn't get many, I don't have any pictures of them myself. This is me and Star Wars Theory. Star Wars Theory is a very famous YouTuber. I think he's got 2 million subscribers. Let's see. I'll look that up real quick. Star Wars Theory. Star Wars Theory has 3.32 million subscribers. And he makes content. He makes Star Wars content. He also does he's got like a couple of other, like Dragon Ball Theory, and he's got a couple of other channels. So this is his best, channel, his biggest one. He also does Theory Sabers, which are replica lightsabers, and he has merchandise like hats. He's got his own brand. It's called Order 66. But yeah, I got to meet him in Dallas as well. And I just waited in line. I just shook hands with him. I just wanted to say hi. I saw him on a Chrissy Marr interview one time. He's Chrissy Mayer interview where he talks about, he was sick as a child growing up, and I can identify with that because I had really bad asthma, so bad that I couldn't play sports, and I was in the hospital a lot with my asthma. So I can identify with that. But as a part of that, he learned Aikido. And so I connected with him on that level of, like, we talked about Aikido. And I was, we have a real Aikikai, a dojo here in Porter Square, Cambridge, that I went to half a lifetime ago. And it was nice. But yeah, I got to meet Star Wars Theory. And he's a really nice guy. And apparently Brian's son Brian's teenage son is a huge fan of Star Wars Theory. So Brian got a picture with him too. This is my favorite picture that I sent to the aficionados. It's me and a Jeff the Land Shark cosplayer. Enough said, huh? I mean, seriously. If you watch the show, then like what here's me wearing the brand. I hand drew this years ago and I put it on a t-shirt. And I like this because it's the super mantra. It's a stylized and it's in the iconic diamond of Superman and with the iconic color combination of red, yellow, and blue. And I've seen things like this before, but the always, weren't cute. They weren't stylized. It was like I wanted something that looked like a Superman logo, not just an ohm that was cut and paste and drop inside of a Superman diamond. So, and I like this because I did this in pencils and on paper, on heavy paper, and an art book, a blank art book, and I scanned it and I put it on my apparel. This is my this is my iconic brand. Yeah, and that's my pass on my FanExpo Dallas lanyard. I have my my FanExpo Dallas pass underneath that because that's apparently a geeky thing to do. Put your year's worth of passes on your same lanyard. Yeah, I do it. And comes to a picture here. If a picture tells 1,000 words, a picture does tell 1,000 words. And here we go. This is, I paid a lot of money for this. It was $260 to get a photograph with Ewan McGregor. It's $210 to get a photograph with Hayden Christensen. Autographs are a separate matter and separate pricings because you can buy an 8x10 or bring this, your copy of your photo, to be signed for, I think, another about 150 or more by either actor. Such as if you bring a large prop, like Hayden was charging $299, $300, like a helmet or a lightsaber, to be signed by Hayden Christensen. So it's like this is a huge business, the FanExpo, because this is not just about comic books. This is about a celebrity experience. They also had the cast of Back to the Future, except for Christopher Lloyd, who couldn't show up. They had Gimli, John Rhys Davies. Thomas got a picture with him. He got a really good picture with him, too. Orlando Bloom was supposed to have been there, too. So he was looking to get his picture with Gimli and Legolas. And but Orlando Bloom had to bail. I was going to say, and James Marsters, TV's Spike from Buffy and Angel TV shows. So I met him in Dallas. He was supposed to have been there. He bailed too. But this was my big present to myself this year. See, I didn't get the hardcover, the 4 hardcover omnibus compendium of the Transformers through Skybound on Kickstarter. I chose to get this instead, and roughly about the same price. I will be okay. Full disclosure, I think I paid about it was $510 for the picture. It was $25 for the frame. Then comes taxes and I think the print, the digital print too. I came to about $550 American for this. James is a genuinely nice guy. Yes, the picture with Anakin and Obi-Wan. So this is weird. It was like, so Brian had agreed to, it was like, okay, Brian, you're going to go to FanExpo with me. And I was going to meet Thomas, Geeky, and the memes of destruction himself too. So there was, like I said, there was overall 5 of us, but basically we were a party of 4. Mike had to leave earlier, and the memes of destruction ended up coming a little bit later in the afternoon. We were there all day-ish, from about noon or so, and it closed. We left about 6:30, and this is the gang. This gruesome foursome went out for supper together. We went back to Auntie Husband's barbecue smokehouse and had a wonderful supper and hanging out, talking geeky, and it was really nice. My oldest friend and some of my newest friends, and we're all united with the power of geekiness. And if you notice that Brian and Thomas have the same hat, they both bought the Order 66 hats, and it's done with the logo of like the famous Route 66 of the American highways, and it literally starts in Chicago, and right by Graham Crackers, a comic book shop around the corner from the AI, the Art Institute, the Museum of Chicago there, so Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. And so it's Wednesday, and I'm at work, and it's the Wednesday. It's like last week before the con. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm at work, and I'm thinking to myself, what's Brian going to do while I'm hanging in line? And then that little voice I'm always saying about in my meditations, that voice of of God or reason or goodness or equanimity of grace, and it's your voice too, and it says to me, "Durr, what do you think? Bring him in the picture. We're childhood friends. We grew up with Star Wars. I was Han, he was Luke, because I had chestnut brown hair, and he was a year younger than me, and he was a towhead." And perfect combination of Han and Luke, also of Apollo and Starbuck, or of Bo and Luke Duke, or Ponch and John, and the list goes on and on and on of famous, sci-fi and hero duos, And we played Star Wars. We were Generation 1 Star Wars with all the Kenner toys. Between him and I and his cousin Keith, we had all the toys, like all the He-Men, all the G.I. Joes, up to a certain point, but that Generation 1, part of He-Man, of Transformers, of G.I. Joe, of Star Wars, that it was amazing. And to have these people to share it with. So I was like, Brian, you want to come in the picture with me? And he's like, oh, it's like kind of like, sure. But it's like, like, how much do you want? And I'm like, no, I already paid for it. Don't worry about it. Like, who else would I want? This came to me. This was like where everything fit, like, all the pieces fit, and just like it was such a really good picture too, and thank God he was there. Seriously, I'm gonna be completely serious because I got no filter, and I just shoot from the heart and the hip. But I've done that all my life. At least I'm being consistent. I had a panic attack. I did. And I can probably maybe identify some contributors to it as well. Because with the same thing, I was with Thomas Gilkey and his dad on Marathon Monday at the Boston Marathon, when there's always a special 11 o'clock a.m. Red Sox start. And so we had club seats. It was wonderful. We sat in the club section and had something to eat, a couple of beers, and I already had a gummy before that. So by the fourth inning, a near brush with a foul ball, it kind of triggered me. And then I just I got a really bad panic attack. I didn't bring my pills because I was drinking beer, and I didn't want to mix an alcohol with a benzo. That's always bad. And so I left by the fourth inning, and I had to brave the subway in Boston on Marathon Monday. And it was hell. And I didn't bring, because I didn't want to mix. I didn't bring my pills. So come to Saturday last week at Boston FanExpo, we meet up at the MJ O'Connor's Irish Bar. I have a burger. I have 2 pints of Guinness. I eat a gummy on the way in, and I'm feeling good, But when it comes time to queue up for the picture in the corner, in the photo opportunities corner, there is so much humanity. There's so many people down there. It's not just you and Hayden's picture. There are like the Supernatural people or from the TV show. Their car was there too, but you can get a cast photo with Supernatural. Mo, thank you so very much for coming by. And I always appreciate you coming by and sharing pictures with us. And salam, and have a great day out there. Punch and John is from Chips. It was a wonderful show to emulate while we were riding on our BMX bicycles, terracing through the projects of South Boston, the old Harbor project, the old Harbor housing development, later known as the Mary Ellen McCormick. They'll probably rename it again. They're tearing it down bit by bit and replacing it with more units. So I actually pass by my childhood bedroom every day on my subway commute into Boston and going home, but I can clearly see my bedroom window every time we come in to Boston, leaving, going towards the South Shore. There's like a little tunnel thing in a wall, but coming into Boston, it's a little elevated more, and so you can have it. I can directly see my bedroom window from where I grew up. It's true. Punch and John. So Ewan McGregor. This cost $550. I got a digital copy, so I sent that to Brian. His wife has a photo printer, and so he's going to print it up and get a frame for it and put it on his Star Wars shelf. So this is now on my Star Wars shelf, between the end of the shelf, the top shelf, and above that I have an episode 3 print with Mustafar, and let's see, do I have a picture of that? I should. What's for supper? We're having burgers for supper tonight. Well, I don't see it. I don't have a picture. How can that be? Well, let's get back to the picture. So yeah, that was wonderful. And Brian held our spot in the line and communicated to me via text. I went to the food court upstairs where there were less people. I got some water. I went to the bathroom. Having panic attacks kind of plays a little havoc with you, with your gut. I'll leave it at that. And I got some fresher air. I got some water. I got to find a quiet corner. And I'm a big fan of that. I mean, just because I can't, this is my reality. I mean, this happens to me. So I was prepared for it, but I did not bring my pills. Why? Because I'm drinking. I know I was drinking beer that day. And I don't want to, mix. You don't want to mix a benzo, my panic pill, with. No, I had it with me, to be honest with you. It was in my backpack. But it was not about, I could take it at 4. I knew that. But our picture was at 2:30. At 2:20, literally. Group 3. And there was just so many people. It was like, it got so hot with body heat. And, there's people breathing, all this, like, everyone's kind of like tightly packed in, And if it wasn't for Brian, I wouldn't have made it. And I'm so grateful and blessed for you, Brian. And that you've been my best friend all my life. And that we got to share this, and we're going to, we went to Wicked Boston Comic Con 2022. And this is our second con together, and it will not be our last. I'm hoping maybe next year, if Terrificon is not the same weekend, you can plan that in advance and just, go down there on Friday night and come back on Sunday. That would be awesome. I think that's completely doable. It really is. It's good to see everyone out there. Thank you so much. It's getting expensive at cons. It is. It really is. I mean, it was. How much did this cost? Doesn't say. But I think it was about $60 for the Saturday pass. The all-day pass, for Dallas, it was probably about $100. So it's about $33 a day. That's how I got to think about it. And if you get it early, it's dirt cheap too. It's like I can get a 3-day. I'm gonna get my all-day pass for Boston in September when they've already released the dates. It's same place. Like same bat time, same bat channel, first weekend of August, 2026. So if you're around, and you know what, James was there. James Naplika, the Wicked fanboy. I missed him. It's funny because I met. There were a couple. There was, I think Rick is out there too, and he said he was going to be there. I ran into D-Day Direwolf at the bootleg DVDs. That was fun because Brian and I were like, we both got something at the bootleg DVD. But let's finish up because this is part one. Well, actually, part one of my Star Warsy weekend was it was inadvertently Star Warsy because I got to hang out and see Star Wars Theory and got a picture with him, which is great. And I wasn't even sharing that. Here we go. Now I can share it. I was hanging out with Star Wars Theory. Yes, I was, but I missed you. Yeah, I saw your video on that, and thanks for that. Thanks for the shout out at the top of the movie, at the top of the show too. And but yeah, I bought a hat too. I bought the same hat. I think Brian got and Thomas got theirs in red, and like I was saying, this is the iconic Route 66 kind of logo, and it's a snapback. It's $40, 45 bucks, but $40 cash, no tax. Like, deal. It's still a marketplace where you can haggle a little. And going back to the DVDs. So one of my favorite things of going to the cons are finding the bootleg DVDs and Blu-rays, because there's so many good nuggets, things like old shows that are just like not in print, like things that might have shown on television like one night, like such as the Star Wars Holiday Special. I got my VHS copy at a con in like 1994 or so, or 93. there was a Star Trek convention at the 57 Hotel off of Stewart Street in Boston. That was like my first convention, and I got a VHS copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special. I haven't had that for years. So guess what? I don't have the Rise of Skywalker, but I do have a Blu-ray of the Star Wars Holiday Special because it deserves it to be there. And I got it at the bootlegger, like last year or the year before. This year in Dallas, I got from the bootleg DVDs and Blu-rays something I've been meaning to get, and for a good price too. I got 3 packs. One was a volume 1 and a volume 2, but the complete series of the BBC's Life on Mars, and then the volume 1 and 2 of its follow-up sequel series, Ashes to Ashes. Now, there was supposed to have been a third series also with a Bowie music title. I think it was going to be called Black Star, perhaps, which was the name of his final album and single before he passed away a decade ago. And it never came to be. But Ashes to Ashes and Life on Mars are amazing shows and set pieces. And it's got the kind of twist, like Lost at the end in a way, a little Twilight Zone-y. You don't know if what's going on is real or not. You have this whole thing of like cop in our now, or it's mythical then when it was published and released, gets into some kind of trouble and wakes up in the past. So in Life on Mars, the guy wakes up in the early 1970s, and it's got this amazing set design and costumes and cars and everything. So with Ashes to Ashes, the cop, she wakes up in the early 1980s, and so it's very stylized, new wave music and fashion and everything. But there's a whole twist of like, what's going on? Is this for real? And I don't want to spoil it for you because it's a great show and you should check it out. But Ewan McGregor. So I went up to Ewan McGregor. I actually talked to Brian in line, like, okay, do you mind if I stand next to Ewan? And he's like, I don't care. And it's your fucking, like, I'm just, let's do it. And so we go back there. You literally get a minute with them, and they were, handshakes and hellos. My friend Leah was like, hey, did Ewan say hello there to you? And I was like, I don't even remember. He could have. But I do remember being like, hey, Ewan, dude, I am such a huge fan of yours, like for a long time, like Shallow Grave, Velvet Goldmine, man. And he was like, thanks, man. And I shook Hayden's hand and we snapped our picture, said, thank you. And it's like, hey, Hayden, I told my chef I was meeting you. She's originally from Tibet, and they have a lot of Canadian television and movies there. And actually, Hayden's a pretty big star up there, man. He's like we Americans only know him really as Anakin Skywalker, but in Canada, Hayden Christensen's a pretty known actor. He's been in a lot of stuff. I think he was a child star too on TV shows and shit. But she was like, "Oh my God, tell him I said hello." And so I gotta tell him that my chef said hello, and he just big grin, big smile. It was nice to meet them. That was a really nice experience. And that I have this. He's 5. He's got to be 5'8". Ewan McGregor looks short. He's got to be 5'8". Because I am. I'm 5'8.5". I like to call myself 5'9", but I'm really 5'8". Yeah. So I got this. Yeah, I got a Theory hat, $40 cash, and that's cool because I'm glad I got to buy something. I wanted to buy something in Dallas, but I didn't want to drag it home, and I knew I was seeing him. And but yeah, so at the bootleg, I saw D-Day Direwolf there, and he's been to a couple of the meetups, like dinner and the movie meetups that we used to have, and cons before too. So it's just hey, I think they know each other from the geeks and gamers sphere. And I'm not a geeks and gamers fan. I do like Drunk 3PO though, and that's how we know. And so that's how we all met through 2022 was the big geeks and gamers Drunk 3PO sphere. And that's how I connected with these people. Yeah. And so yeah, what did I get from the bootlegger? It ended up being a very Star Warsy convention. Star Wars Theory, my picture with Obi-Wan and Anakin, or Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, however you want to put it. And I got these two. It's interesting because I've had the Clone Wars animated movie. This is a DVD. This was $20. And I don't think this was released on physical media. I have a digital copy on my iPhone, on my iPod, and I've watched a lot of it. This is the first appearance of Ahsoka, where she gets assigned to Anakin Skywalker, and the big caper is rescuing Jabba's kidnapped infant son, Stinky. And so this is introduced the world to Ahsoka. And this was done by David Filoni way back in the day, like 2025. Does it even have a... Yeah, see? It's widescreen. Let's look that up. So we get the internet at our fingertips. Now, this is Star Wars Clone Wars movie. The Clone Wars is the Gennady Tartakovsky the mini episodes that was on Cartoon Network that are superior. It had that great art style. And those were done in 2004, I believe. But Star Wars Clone Wars film is a 2008 American animated epic space opera film directed by Dave Filoni. So it was pre-Disney. Remember, Disney bought Star Wars in 2012. So this is so like, is this still G canon? Is it? Yeah, it's interesting. And the TV show, it serves as the pilot episode of the television series of the same name, which premiered in so this is Star Wars The Clone Wars. Okay, there is a difference. Yeah. So Star Wars Clone Wars is the 2003 animated, developed by Gennady Tartakovsky for Cartoon Network. And that leads right up until the opening crawl of Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3. And so, yeah, the TV show started in 2008. Now, 2 years ago, the final season, Season 7, came out. Now, I have the final season first released in 2020, February 21st, 2020 to May 4th, 2020, only on Disney Plus. And they had like a 6-year lapse between seasons. It ran from 2008 until March 7th, 2014, with the 13 lost missions. This is the season 6 premiered on Netflix. But seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were all on Cartoon Network. 22, 44, 66, 88, 108, 121, 135 episodes altogether of the Clone Wars, plus the Gennady Tartakovsky volume, which is exceptionally good. Samurai Jack, yes, and also Primeval too, or Primal. He's got like one set in like caveman times. My sister is 5'8". Well, cool. We would see eye to eye then, wouldn't we? But bump. Any tea left? Oh, it's sugary. Very sugary and milky. So this season 7, for the past 5 years since its release, has not been released as on physical media. I have everything else. I have a box set that has seasons 1 through 5. Then I have the Blu-ray of season 6, the Lost missions, and there is no physical media for this. There's no DVD or Blu-ray for this. Why? Well, because we want you to watch, Disney Plus. Get it only on Disney Plus. Okay, but what is that? That's how much respect Disney has for Star Wars fans, I guess, because Clone Wars made it through the purchase, and so it's because its production. Season 1, season 2 was Rise of the Bounty Hunters. So season 4, Battle Lines. It ended on March 16th, 2012. And then season 5 is Who Will Fall, premiered on September 29th. When did Disney buy Star Wars? On October 30th, 2012. So the purchase of Clone Wars, the purchase of Disney, is while Clone Wars is being released. And then there's the 6-year lapse between seasons 6 and 7. And there were only 12 episodes in the final season. And I got them right here. I heard they're not that great. Thank you, James. Have a good day. Have a great rest of the stream. I'll be putting up my theater non-spoiler review of Weapons tomorrow. It's a good watch. Cheers and huzzah. We'll click on the Wicked Fanboys image right here in the live chat, and I'll bring up some that should bring up his channel. Hopefully, if you right click it, open up on a new tab. I got all these tabs open. So yeah. So for me, my Clone Wars collection is complete. Now the circle is complete. This is going on my Star Wars shelf. And it deserves it. It really does. I started watching Star Wars Resistance, and that's set in the sequel era. Star Wars Resistance is an animated series. It got a 2.9 score, really? 2 seasons, 40 episodes, audience rating summary 2.9 stars out of 278, votes. It's very diverse. Who cares? That's what Star Wars is supposed to be. But it follows Kazuo Ziono, a New Republic pilot who was recruited by the Resistance to spy on the growing threat of the First Order. Shortly before and during the events of the sequel trilogy, it premiered on the Disney Channel. On Disney Channel, not Disney Plus. On the Disney Channel, and the next day it debuted on Disney XD, which was, another Disney Channel. There were Disney had good cable content, yeah, and then they put all their eggs in one basket for Disney Plus, the streaming service. And it wasn't very good, in my humble opinion. Individual results may vary. You never know. All right. And but yeah, I got a couple of comic books from the dollar bin. Not many. I got an issue of Pikachu, you're supposed to produce the show and have things available and ready for me. Here it is. You can always find Deathmate in a dollar bin. It's true. I'm looking for Deathmate Red at this point, and I think that will complete my Deathmate series. I got See, I got this one called The Preview. And I've never even seen, it doesn't have any hollow foil on it. I got this in the dollar bin. This is like, it's flimsy. It's so tiny. It's how many pages? This is like, wow, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pages of story and art. And it's an advertisement. This is just a giveaway, an advertisement. It's written by Bob Layton, the writer and editor-in-chief. Bernard Chang is the penciler. Bob Wyacek is the inker. And let's look at the indicia. It's Deathmate, 1993 image and Voyager Communications Inc. Solar Man of the Atom. Okay, Deathmate. Oh, more indicia. It's the same indicia. It doesn't. Yeah, this is an advertisement. It's not even Advanced Comics. What is that? I have no idea. If this was $1. See you, AL. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. And keep on keeping on. We'll see you next week. I'll see you in purchase and purchase comments too. But yeah, it's but I don't think this is part of Deathmate #1. It's about 2 universes that have a crossover from 2 different publishers that have permeating foil covers. There's a huge, great joke by Shannon Doherty and Mallrats. Like, I don't give a shit when 2 competing comic book companies, have a crossover with different permeating foil covers. I'm a girl, damn it. I want to do girl things. So I got Deathmate Black. I thought I didn't have a copy of it. But I do. So I got Deathmate Prologue. Yeah, I've got Deathmate Black here, and it's got a gold trim. So I'm wondering, is this like a second printing? Let's look at the indicia. What's the indicia? And this is cool too. At the comic book convention, while going through the dollar bin, there's 2 younger people next to me on my right, and Brian's on my left. And she was like ask a question about, is it any good? This one, and I was like, what? All that matters is if you like it. But the one she was holding was a Chuck Dixon Robin 2, the second Robin miniseries. There was Robin 3, and that folded into the ongoing Robin series done by Chuck Dixon. I got some art by Aaron Lepresti on that one too. But I was like, I pointed out the indicia colophon. The indicia is the fine print that you find on a comic book. It has the publishing information. Deathmate Black, September 1993, first printing. Okay. It had a $4.95 cover price in 1993. Now this is Deathmate Black without the foil, and so this is a first printing as well. All right. But I already had it, so I misjudged that. Never judge a book by its cover. Always get your issue number. There were no issue numbers. This is Deathmate, so it's a crossover between Valiant Comics and Image Comics, and Image Comics just started basically, and Valiant Comics too, in a way. Well, they got some properties though. Valiant had some original stuff, like Exo Manowar and Rai and Ninjak or Ninja K. But they also bought some stuff like Turok Dinosaur Hunter, Solar Man of the Atom, and Magnus Robot Fighter. Those were older comic books. Oh, and the bag ripped. That's okay. So we're gonna put those. We're gonna double that up. So we got Deathmate Black. So they go by date. So we got Prologue, which is not the same information. It's not the same book. It's like at least this It's 5 pages of different story and different art. Not found in here. And 2 universes kind of smashed together and create one universe where, like, you know, they have to figure out what's going on. So this is the July preview issue. So we have prologue in September. Then we have Black, Deathmate Black. Now they're not issue numbers, they're done by color. Then you have Deathmate Yellow, $4.95. How much was $4.95 in 1993? Let's look. I go to the CPI calculator. This is the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics CPI inflation calendar. So $4.95. 95. Let's see. October of 1993. So remember, this was coming out in September, August, July. So this was like the big summer movie thing. $10.98 today in today's money. Indeed. So yeah, you have Deathmate Yellow, followed up by Deathmate Blue, also in October. I'm not sure which one's which goes first, but that's the whole thing. They were like meant to like you know, they all add up at the end, but they're all not, you know. I don't know how to describe Deathmate. Then you get the Deathmate prologue in February, the epilogue. And as you get all these ads, remember Wizard magazine, and you know, info dump page. But in between this, like, you know, you had Deathmate Red, and Deathmate Red was the ones that had severe lateness. Were the issues that were published by Image Comics themselves, and because the ones published by Valiant Comics were were punctual and prompt. So yeah, so I'm working on Deathmate. These comics fascinate me. 1993, I was 20 years old. I was still living at home, in the projects of South Boston, Massachusetts. My mom had taken in her best work friend, who was homeless. She lost her home, and she had a 10-year-old son, 11-year-old son, and a 2-year-old daughter, and then there were Latinos and Latinas. There's you know, she was from Peru, and so, like, yeah, we had house guests for a while, for a year. They lived with us for a year, and let's call the kid MJ. MJ was a comic book fan too, and he got money from his, you know, from his dad, some guilt money. So he always had money to spend on comic books. So he was totally getting every issue of Deathmate, because, and I couldn't touch them and I couldn't read them, because like this was like his collector's thing, you know, and like that was his thing. But it's like I ended up, of course I read them, of course I looked at them, and and that's why I'm picking them up again. Yeah, so I'm still looking for Deathmate Red, and I think there are a couple of other, you know, like these slim ones. And oh, sorry, my phone blew up just a little bit. What other Deathmates do I have left? Comic wants. I have a comic wants. You know, what's on my comic wants? Here's some of my comic wants. I didn't look at this list very much. Look, I got bald spots I want to fill up. You know what I mean? If anyone can, if you can find an issue, if you're out there, if you can find Savage Dragon 171, pick it up. And so yeah, I need Deathmate Red and Deathmate Green, And there's also Deathmate Orange / Pink, which I guess are just like harder to find. But yeah, so Deathmate Red and Deathmate Green I need. And those two I believe were the Image ones. I also picked up. I almost gave this to Thomas because out of some playfulness, but I didn't want him to get just like see. Okay, there's something called the culture war, and then there's also this thing in independent and crowdfunded comics called Comicsgate, and a Comicsgate was a label put on a group of classic creators that were harder to hire because they were openly conservative, and they all kind of got blacklisted from comics at the big two, or even Image and Dark Horse, and the big two being Marvel and DC, because of politics and because of how you can be progressive and Democrat open about it, but you can't if you're open about your conservative feelings and who you vote for. That'll be weaponized against you. And this is true. It happened. Look it up yourself. Comicsgate on. I wouldn't look at a wiki. Well, look at the wiki, because the wiki is an open source and it can be edited. I think the page is blocked down, but as it is, it's a hate group. They make racist jokes. They do. They make misogynist jokes. Comicsgate is kind of like the old 90s sense of edgelord humor, and that's where it went. It's a part of it went there, like the old Howard Stern show, the old Opie and Anthony show. That sense of ribald humor, of ball busting, and it's the opposite of oversensitivity. It's undersensitive. So you have Comicsgate and you have Comicsgate adjacent. I'm definitely Comicsgate adjacent. I know that. Billy Tucci, yeah, he's definitely Comicsgate. Mike Barron, Art T-Bear, Aaron Lopresti, Graham Nolan, Ethan Van Sciver, Shane Davis, John Malin, Irene Strakalski, Per Berg. These are all artists I get these crowdfunded comics from. Then you have Eric July's Rippaverse, which is not crowdfunding. It's more of a clearinghouse. These are already produced and already paid for. And hey, Dr. Nitrogen, welcome back. Good to see you. I hope you enjoy the ride. And so Eric July has his Rippaverse, which isn't crowdfunding. It's just order it and you get it. And I think he's actually starting to maybe be more of the crowdfunding, because it's like you need to produce this stuff first, then publish it, and then sell it. You know what I mean? With crowdfunding, you know how much to print off if you're able to fund it. You know what I mean? Because you could get stuck with a lot of product that you can't move. But Thomas is very much into Rippaverse, and good for him. If you enjoy it, he's not big into comics, but he's really into this part of is it the culture war? Kind of. It's like a civil war in the culture war, and it's kind of like Rippaverse versus Comicsgate, and it's serious. These people just are, it's got bad blood, like the Taylor Swift song. Seriously, we will never, ever, ever get back together, like the Taylor Swift song. Your friends talking, my friends talking, they all talk to me. Ooh, 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 ooh. Seriously, everybody talks. It's all about drama, and it's all about slagging the other side. There's so much tribalism going on. It's like it's one of my least favorite parts of being part of this online crowdfunding comic book thing. But I do, it is a guilty pleasure. I do watch a lot of Ethan Van Sciver stuff still. I do. But it's like, and a lot of it's cringeworthy too. But I also watch Jack Show. That's like my thing. I love Jack Show. And I'm not like, but I've, made friends, I've met Rippa at DC, at Dallas FanExpo. I met I've been on Comics Aficionados with NDA Andrew, who's like who's part of the Rippaverse team. Nice kid. I don't have the problems with Rippaverse as the comic skaters do, because it reminds me of being a Boston Red Sox fan in the 90s and the blind hatred of New York and the New York Yankees and the Yankees suck years. You're not allowed to chant Yankees suck in Fenway Park anymore. You will get thrown out. And people don't do that anymore. Ever since we won 4 World Championships, 4 World Series, the whole Yankees hatred thing has really been tempered. You know what I mean? So I think winning had a lot to do with that. But in the 1990s, I lived through this organized tribal hatred of and sports and men. Manly. This is like aggression and shit talking and ball busting and tribalism. Seriously, like same thing exists in hockey too. I went to a 2008 first round playoff game versus the Boston Bruins versus the Montreal Canadiens, and there was some kid with the Habs jersey, the Habitants de Montreal. That's what they call the Canadiens, les Canadiens, the Habitants, the home team. He had his head cracked open. He was lying in a puddle of everything in the men's room. I went to go take a pee, and he got his head cracked open because he was wearing the why. Seriously, you went to a hockey game, and that's a metaphor. I came here for comic books, and a lot of it's just kind of distasteful, racial, homophobic. And if you don't like it, leave. If you don't like it, you're a soy. And now there's some weird like SJW thing with adjacency. Like I got so much shit for fucking, defending Eric July at Dallas FanExpo, being like, no, leave your antics outside, please. I got hell for that from certain people. And I'm like, that's how I feel. Leave your antics outside of the convention. But Eric said, pull up. Okay, so you're taking Eric seriously on that, but you're not taking him seriously when he's saying, giving you the story about how he split the 2-page spread in Blood Ruth. You know what I mean? That wasn't, he said oh no, that was a cinematic, conscious choice that I made, instead of just owning up to being like, hey, I'm like, but you believe him in one, but you don't believe him in the other. Okay, I got it. Oh, sure. Just, it's, but it, Dallas made me realize how small our pond is, and we have lots of people overlap. I mean, when Wes was on vacation, I was talking with Aaron Sparrow backstage about who should we do we need another? We need a 6th, and I suggested Cecil. I thought it'd be fun because Cecil's like one of us. He's a comic book guy, but Aaron was like, no, and he's too comics gay. But I'm like, Aaron co-wrote Black and White Volume 3 with RT Bear. He's a comics gay king. We have Mike Barron on the show several times now. You know what I mean? Your friend, he's a comics gay king. You share a booth at San Diego Comic-Con with Aaron Lepresti. He's a comics gay king. I mean, I get it. I mean, some people are more polarizing than others. I don't think we'll ever see Ethan again on the show. He was a guest when I first started. He hasn't been on the show in 3 years or so, maybe 2 or 3 years. And we've had Eric on too. So we have comic skaters and we have Rippaverse people and everyone in between, on Comics Aficionados. So it's like, I don't subscribe to this, just because you got a beef doesn't mean I got beef. And I'm not going to adopt your beef to make you feel better about your beef. And me going over and saying hi to Eric and getting kisses from the Saskas, that's adjacency. No, that's just being nice to people at a con and getting to meet them too. So a lot of that bullshit, a lot of that bluster, a lot of this fucking stuff just dissipated because it made me realize how big our pond is. and how we and how our circles definitely overlap all over the place in this small pond of ours here, and crowd-funded comic book culture on YouTube. Seriously, I don't know. I don't have answers. All I have are more questions. But I picked up these 2 Ethan Van Sciver books. I was going to give them to Thomas as a kind of a joke, or or a kind, I like multifaceted stuff. So kind of as a a gentle play, poke in the ribs, but like, hey, I know you hate Ethan Van Sciver because of the Rippaverse stuff, because of the beef, huge drama beef between Eric July and Ethan Van Sciver. It's mostly earned. It is. And but here, try some of his art. Look at some of his art. This is like when I was introduced to Ethan Van Sciver. This is New X-Men 133. This was done, I think, in 2003, 2004. Let's look at the indicia. Oh yeah, so the indicia. I'm at the dollar, bins getting these kind of funny books. There's 2 younger people, and I'm like, well, here, and she was looking at a Robin book by Chuck Dixon, and who is, he's not quite Comicsgate, but he does Rippaverse stuff, but he also just it's Chuck Dixon, he's one of, I don't think he identifies as Comicsgate, is Chuck Dixon Comicsgate? I don't know. It's a good question. Let me ask. Is Chuck Dixon Comicsgate? What is Comicsgate? Comicsgate is a term that was applied to these creators. Chuck Dixon is not directly associated with Comicsgate, though he has been a vocal critic of the direction of the comic book industry, particularly in regards to diversity and representation, which is like one of the things. Well, this is the whole, instead of saying all this DEI stuff and all this woke stuff and calling it, or making fun of just the pride stuff, it's all academic postmodernism and critical theories. That's where, instead of saying woke or calling, it's gay, GHEY, but you know what you mean. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's quite jejune. It's quite jejune, isn't it? But have some Ethan Van Sciver artwork. But I kept it for myself. So so I'm taking Robin 2, and she's like, check it out. I hope you like it. And then I pointed out the indicia. It's like, you can tell a lot from a comic book by looking at the indicia. And this is New X-Men, Volume 1, number 133, published in December. That has a cover date of December 2002. So that's in November, November, December. So this came out in October, on the street date of October, maybe late September or October. Because December, what's up with, that means at the end of December, you pull the issue off the newsstand. It was $2.25 for a cover price. Here's some ads. Saint Sinner. Do you remember that show? I never watched it, but it was on Sci-Fi Network. Tobacco's wacko if you're a teen. Starburst. Yeah, and so this is the X-Men, and this got me when I restarted reading comics again in 2001. This was one of my monthlies. This kept me coming back at least once a month. But the Rippaverse and Ethan Van Sciver's branch Comicsgate. And Comicsgate as a term was applied to these creators in this movement of being anti-SJW, anti-woke, anti-progressive, anti-feminist, because girls had moved into a traditionally boy space and kind of ruined it. But just like, did they really make more fans, or did we lose? Who knows? We'll never know. We will never know. And but I often come off as like anti-feminist. Look, Blade 2, the video game. And this is when Ethan Van Sciver had this new style. Before that, it was a bit more cartoony. He was doing Impulse and the tradition of what Humberto Ramos and Mike Wieringo were doing, just a bit more cartoony. And he started a bit more finer lines. And, look at that face. And this is, really good. So this introduced me to Ethan Van Sciver, and that's why I'm a fan of his. It's not because of the drama. It's kind of funny. It's kind of stupid. It is wicked cringy, but it's what I end up watching it more often than not. And I'm a big fan of his Cyberfrog. So this was, I bet, and this is Ethan Van Sciver, Grant Morrison, in the first issue with Dust. Dust is a mutant. She's a Muslim. This was back in 2002, way before Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel was not the first Muslim, superhero in Marvel Comics. There was even another one before this too. But I love this game, Robotech Battle Cry. It's like the only Robotech video game I ever played. Well, I did play the side scroller Macross game too, but this was pretty good. You could transform the Veritech, and where'd the other one go? This came later, like 2008, 2009. This has a countdown number. So countdown 1, the countdown to Infinite Crisis, I believe. Oh, wow. Open this up. Something wicked iconic. This is a $2.99 book. Written by Dwayne McDuffie. God bless him. And Decia reads on the last page here. It's here. Decia is here. Justice League issue 20, June of 2008. This is Countdown to Final Crisis. Ethan did the cover. See, that's his notorious signature. Look at this opening splash page. Boom! Love. Wow. He's got great layouts. Great, great work here. He did his own inking, too. That's why he's artist. There's no inker involved here. Did the colors. Brian Miller at High Five. I mean, just look at all this. I mean, this is why do I like Ethan Van Sciver? Because of pages like this. Because of comic books like this. He draws babes like this. This is a great Wonder Woman. This is such a good issue. I'm so glad I picked this up. And he also has this thing called Comic Pro Secrets, and something like this. It could be a cheat, putting them in silhouette. We have them against the moonlight on a dark night, and so we see them in silhouette, and they're only kind of their iconic kind of attributes to their costumes. Diana's tiara and Barry Allen's hood ornaments that are double as speakers and antenna on the side of the Mercury wings for the side of his cowl. Oh, so this is Countdown to Infinite Crisis. Is it, or is this an epic 8-issue limited series? Oh, it's the Rand Thanagar Holy War. Okay, because we got this. Oh yeah, here we go. The big ad, The Day Evil Won. Grant Morrison, J.G. Jones, Final Crisis. I effing love this book. But this is good stuff. I know I've been bitching about these cut and paste, drag and drop onomatopoeia for years, but they've been almost 20 years have passed since. I got to get over it, huh? You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go someday. So yeah, it's Ethan Van Sciver, but I decided to keep it. I didn't want my buddy to think I was like teasing him or anything. I just wanted to here this is what he's talking about when it comes to compare this art to the art that you get in a Rippaverse book or not. I mean, but they were dollar books, and that's what they're for. Give them to somebody. But I'm giving these to myself. And I got this. This replaces an actual floppy that I bought 23 years ago. When I got back into this thing of ours. And I got this too. Bronze Age Baby, issue 16 of Shogun Warriors. I had a Shogun Warrior. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Hold up. There it is. All my brothers in the back is my. It is. Get ready for the next episode. Way. Smoke weed every day. Share screen. Share screen. This is a Shogun Warrior. This is this big piece of plastic. There we go. That's better. That's me about 5 years old. And that's a Shogun Warrior. It was a 2 foot tall plastic Japanese giant robot. And this was marketed. These were repackaged Japanese toys. They were called the giant Machinders in Japan, and based on early anime shows. And this was Great Mazinger. Great Mazinger was huge in South America, and so this was a giant toy of mine. There was Dragun, there was Raiding, and Vanguard Ace, and Guy King, and most of them had their own TV shows, and Voltas, and I had mine. It was a Christmas present, Christmas 1976, I believe, and I was 4 years old. And that thing, I had that thing for years. It shot missiles from its hand. It had 2 swords. It did not come with the wings. And the other half of this picture is a couple of years back. I bought a Soul of Chogokin. Soul of Chogokin is a very overpriced but worth it die-cast, ultra detailed Japanese Japanese figure. And this is done in the giant Machinder paint job with so it's identical. It's identical to its giant counterpart. And this, I got reunited with an old friend here. And this was out when I was a kid too. Let's see, at the 40 cents. Got to be 1978, 1970. Nope, no, I was wrong. 1980. Okay, because we're looking at the indicia once again. Okay, so I'm at the dollar bin, talking up this random issue of Robin Tood with this younger woman. She looked like she was in her late teens, early 20s. And I was like, yeah, check it out, see if you like it. And this is the indicia down here. It gives you publication information, what volume it is, what issue number it is, date of its date, and its legal information too. And then the guy next to her was like, I've just learned more about comic books right now than I have in a long time. He looked like he was in his early 20s. And I'm like, awesome, man. Just do my whole, like, me being me. And it's just like, but that is like, I feel like I passed the torch a little bit to some younger people. So yeah, this is Shogun Warriors from 1980. I was 7 years old when this came out. In the 40-cent days, they would be going up to 50 cents any minute. 100 toy soldiers for $1.98 through the mail. Yeah, toy. So these are the little tiny plastic toy soldiers. Super gift and gimmicks. It's a catalog page. All of the arrow through the head, chattering teeth, a werewolf mask. What's a spud gun? Well, you push the nozzle into a potato, and it cuts off just enough of it, and it uses air pressure, and so you can shoot little pieces of potato at other people. A two-headed nickel or two-tailed nickel, for to win coin tosses. And yeah, these are just ancient. This is literally the ancient internet, But this is issue 20. This is issue 16 of Shogun Warriors, written by Doug Mensch, art by Herb Trimpe, inked by Mike Esposito. Diana Albers is the letterer. Al Milgram is the editor, and Jim Shooter is the editor-in-chief. And this was one of the many Marvel licensed property books that were out there. They were also doing a Star Trek book at the time. They did Battlestar Galactica. They were doing Star Wars and Rom the Space Knight, Micronauts. Gee, this is Jim Shooter. This is the start of Jim Shooter's tenure as editor-in-chief, and how he, kind of saved Marvel Comics. Well, Star Wars, but also Jim Shooter helped save Marvel Comics from bankruptcy and dying out. And we could use another Jim Shooter today. This giant robot is also known as Vanguard Ace. And there's a Radine in the background, and it's variable Hawk configuration. We also have, it looks like Voltus. Dr. Demonicus has been defeated off the coast of California, and being close to Richard Carson's home, the Shogun operators have requested additional time for rest, talk, and solo practice with the huge robots. Their mentors, the followers of the light, have granted the request. So almost playfully, Radine converts to Firehawk. Combatra laces the sky with aerial acrobatics, and Vanguard Ace takes to the sea. Now, Combatra, I think, was also known as Voltes. And, just here you go. This is some Bronze Age funny books. Look at it. Clean gutters. Gutters are the spaces in between the panels where time moves, and that makes it sequential art. Now, sometimes you have breaks in the gutters. More catalogs. I love these kind of comic books. This is the ancient internet. Skinny, self-conscious, gain pounds, inches, and confidence. Let's see. Clint's Comics. Over 1 million comics in stock. Send 50 cents for an illustrated comics catalog. Comics, we've got them. This is how you would find comics, a free comics list. People would send you their catalog. Marvel back issues for sale. 3mm comic bags. So this is like, your Skins, Golden State Comics. And it goes on and on. Stamp collecting. Look, Hubba Bubba Bubblegum. No, Bubble Yum. Not Hubba Bubba. And we see junk food. And very shortly in these comic books, we're going to have video game ads. And we'll have video game ads up until, I think, the double aughts. Video game ads and snack foods. Hey, Star Trek. Action figures. Oh, wow. What are these things? Mega dolls? Interesting. Marvel superhero fun for everyone. Presto Magics. Oh, wow. And also with free proof of purchase with any, General Mills cereal. Oh, there we go. That's some kind of cross advertisement. There's some storytelling. Some classic Bronze Age storytelling. Now we have Hubba Bubba Bubblegum. We've had Bubble Yum. Now we have its competition. They could be made by the same producer. I don't know. Epic Comics. Those were made for adults. All new adult fantasy magazine from Marvel. Epic Illustrated. And Epic also was its own imprint as well. Marvel Comics. 12 issues. I enclose $5 for each title subscribed. And they would mail it to you. I would later get G.I. Joe starting at issue 15 through this way. Through a mail-in subscription. You could sell grit because you were broke. What's wrong with this picture? This is great. The old Bronze School magazine. And here, bullpen bulletins. Stan's soapbox. Big news, true believers. Your longtime Marvel maniacs who keep track of who's who among our editorial staff. Yep, Archie Goodwin has been given the position of executive editor to our soon-to-be unveiled magazine masterpiece, the much heralded, long-awaited Epic Illustrated. Battlestar Galactica issue 15. Ghost Rider 44. Star Trek 2. And that's the adaptation of the movies. And remember, so Marvel got these deals where they would adapt movies as well. Amazing Spider-Man 204. The Return of the Beauteous Black Cat. I like the supervillain team up. That was an interesting book. Because, DC had one of those too. House ads? Anyone? Grunwald Macchio Perez on Thing. The Marvel 2-in-1. The Savage Sword of Conan. And the radio-controlled Porsche in this inside cover. It's valuable real estate for advertisement. And there we go. That's Shogun Warriors. And those are the comics I picked up at Boston FanExpo. Those were diving in the dollar bins. It's one of my favorite things to do at a con. It really is. Hello, Boston 27L. Hello, Genko. Welcome. I wonder if that's an emoji. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, the Red Sox lost. Is that it? I miss those old ads. Yeah. Well, let's look at some new ads. What did we pick up this week from our local comic book shop? I picked up 4 books. Spent less than $20. I think I spent about $17. They were each $3.99. Let's see. Yeah, $3.99, $3.99, $3.99, and $3.99. So that came up to about $16, maybe $15.90 something. But I'm pump. Only got 4 books this week. I got 1 Marvel, 2 DCs, and 1 Image Skybound. In order of preference, we've got Spider-Man and Wolverine issue 4, written by Mark Guggenheim, but now we have fill-in art by Gerardo Sandoval. See, we have cover art by its normal or typical artist, Kari Andrews, but We've got interiors by Gerardo Sandoval, who really tries his best to do Kari Andrews' kinetics, storytelling values, and style and tone. And he does it too. He delivers, but it's not quite Kari Andrews. And it's only okay. I mean, my biggest hook for this is Kari Andrews, his art. And I feel like I said this on Aficionados yesterday. I ordered a bone-in cowboy ribeye medium rare, and what I got was a petite fillet, and it was overcooked. And it's not what I wanted. Let's look at some ads, though. Look at, we have the it's kind of a house ad. It's the Marvel Studios Fantastic Four First Steps music by Michael Giacchino, who made his bones on Lost. Usually love his music, and it's vinyl. And look, hey, another kind of house ad. It's the Fantastic Four First Steps Marvel Watch, and then we have the house ad for issue 5, Consequences, whatever that means. And on our last page, the Indicia, Spider-Man and Wolverine, number 4, October of 2005, and all your fine print. The inside cover, the art of Marvel storytelling. You got a QR code, and learn how to draw Marvel comics the Marvel way, I guess, which is interesting. Not a lot of ads. In the center page, we've got the Marvel Stormbreakers double page spread. These are the next generation of elite artists and the covers they'll be doing. And so these Stormbreakers are usually variant covers that you can get from your local comic book shop. Simone DeMeo, he's a name already. Juan Frigeri, he's a name already. Gurihiro, I think he does Nitho Diaz. Yeah, he's up and coming. He's been doing pretty decent. He's been doing the yeoman's work on Jed McKay's adjectiveless X-Men when Ryan Stegman's not doing it. We've got the bullpen page, checklist, old school interview kind of with Annalise Abisa. She's one of the editors. She's the associate editor on X-Men, on Uncanny, Excretional, every flavor. Yeah. One World Under Doom and more. So yeah, she's one of the girls running the show. Let's see, the X-Men Revelation book that's starting up. The Age of Revelation. Yeah. And they're all house ads. Venom 250. And wow, yeah, they were all house ads. There's no junk food, no video games. They're all kind of, yeah. And yeah, it was like, this one was my least favorite book of my stack because I'm in it for the Kari Andrews art. I'll have to, it'll make me look at if he's not doing the next issue's art, I might not get it. It's not that important to me. This is great. This is Aquaman. Whoa. Mark McGrath, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. This is Aquaman, art by Bruce Timm, written by the hottest hand at DC Comics right now. It's Jeremy Adams. You could make an argument and say it could be, Mark Waid, who's doing World's Finest. He's doing Batman and Robin Year One. He's doing the new history of the DCU, and he's going to be doing. He did the. I'm not sure who's going to be doing DCKO. There's the upcoming event called DCKO as in knockout. So it's a bracketed fights against different peoples. leading up to the end and then tying in eventually to the absolute universe. Let's see. So you got Peacemaker as an ad. You don't say. Usually right about now I would look her up on LinkedIn so I could, I get a good, all right. Anna, what's her name? Well, let's do it. I can look her up on LinkedIn. Annalise Bissell. Annalise Bissell, LinkedIn. Annalise Bissell, Marvel Entertainment. All right. Let's see where she went to school. New York University. She got her master's in science and publishing. Area of study was media profitability. She graduated New York University. Bachelor degree in English and American literature. Minor in digital art and design, Middle Eastern and Islamic studies. Oh, geez. She's been at Marvel for 7 years and 11 months. She started in September in 2014. She was an editorial intern for 1 year, actually, and then she was an editorial intern for a second year from May 2016 to May 2017. And she was an assistant editor, and now she's an associate editor. And that means she's the direct editor working for Tom Brevoort, who is the group editor of all the X titles. But yeah, that's something I do now is, look them up on LinkedIn to see where they went to school. And more than likely, is New York University. The New York University that's Ivy League is Columbia. Is NYU an Ivy League? No, NYU is not an Ivy League school. But Columbia is. You don't have to just be an Ivy League school to be ultra woke. You just have to be, a woman who graduated from, college or grad school. She got her master's. And this is Aquaman. After that diatribe, we're looking at ads. So we have a kind of a house ad. You got 6 Superman films for $10 if you follow this QR code. Because you get 2 versions of Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. I don't think I've seen that one. And I love that movie. Yeah, Peacemaker. And also James Gunn's Superman is now on streaming, available on digital streaming, because of the release of Peacemaker in 4 days. And because James Gunn said that this thing, it really spoils Superman, so that was the plan the entire time. KO is by Scott Snyder and Josh Williamson, and Mark Waid also doing Justice League Unlimited. Okay. And yeah, and the Batman Robin Year One, Mark Waid and Chris Samney, great art. And this is a good read. I agree, but I'm not buying it. I'm just not into, I'm done with Mark Waid, but I'm not, he's not on Twitter anyway. So, I wonder if he was on Twitter, would I be blocked by him? But it's Jeremy Adams' Aquaman. And it's a pretty good story. Look at this thing. Beautiful splash page. And it's just like over the top adventure. So yeah, John Timms is the artist. Michael McAllister is the associate editor. Paul Kaminsky is the editor. So I get an eye on editing. Who are the editors? Because you can always blame fault on everything on that. Lane says, "Hey, I just got a message back from Wes on Patreon. Was he like, knock it off, you cruel bastard, and stop giving me money to torture Doc with? Or keep it going, brother, keep it going?" I think it's the latter of the two, hopefully. Aquaman is a fantastic book. It's really good. I mean, it's good to see Jeremy Adams. He's like the heir apparent to Jeff Johns when it comes to having a good, use of the characters, a good command of the toy box, and having fun with it, you know. And this is really fun. It's really good. This will probably, unfortunately, end soon because of sales, And we had a theme. We have a theory that we cracked open on the Comics Aficionados yesterday, that this could be a backdoor pilot, almost like, where is Absolute Aquaman? Is it this already? We don't know. Double page spread for Tech. It's a Tech 1100. That's a milestone, sure. And speaking of milestones, Wes had his 300th episode of Comics Aficionados yesterday. So go over there and smash that like button and leave a comment and say, "Way to go, Wes!" Please, blow up those comments, please, and give him some congratulations. 300 episodes. That's 300 weekends. There are only 52 weeks in a year, and he rarely misses one. So that's like what, almost 6 years. Of doing this show for him. That's great, man. That really is. And I've been on that show, and I'm in my third year of being on that show, and I'm so proud to be part of that, and one of them. So yeah, that's the double page spread at the center. You can see the two staples. That is the binding of this floppy. Which appears to be now we have preview for Justice League Red, written by Solomon Ahmed, art by Clay Henry, and wow, you have Simon Baz as Solomon Ahmed's character in this, and WB Warner Brothers Studio Tour. So yeah, those are the ads compared to actual products for different things. When you have a marketing team that sells ad space in magazines, now not so much, but it's been like that for a while. What happened to the ads in comics and Big Two comics? Same here with Jeremy Adams' other story, Green Lantern Corps. Jeremy Adams is also doing Green Lantern. This is the Starbreaker Supremacy, Part 2. Everyone's kind of feeling, no emotions, because all the emotions have been wiped out and harnessed by Starbreaker for his. Thank you so much, my stepdad, Poppy. Thank you so much. God bless you, and I love you, man. This is it. Lane Kramer says this Starbreaker Supremacy is a great crossover story. It really is, and we have Aya from the animated show now in this. We get to play with a lot of different toys, and so we have Aya, and we also have is it Lamplight? This is the Green Lantern Amazo that was from Ultimate Power. Jadestone, that's his name, and Jadestone got a conscience and he's got agency and is an AI, and it is Aya, and it hints to a romance with Razor, and everyone's kind of not depressed, but no one can feel anything because notice the tones, the color in this comic book it tells the story. Really, all these muted tones, because the emotional spectrum has been sapped out of everyone and everything for the Starbreaker's supremacy itself. So when we have use of color, it really stands out. And this is a pretty good book, and yeah. Oh yeah, Wonder Rose, another house ad. Where's our video game ads? Where are the snack foods? They don't do that no more. Get over it. And with my pick of the week, one more issue to go until they hand the keys over to Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora. We've got Daniel Warren Johnson and Jorge Quiroga's Transformers 23. This is the B cover. This is a variant cover, and it matches the Decepticons on issue 22. I got that one too. That resembles this, but with Decepticons. And here are your variant covers. And this was a good book. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Brand new Transformer called Shredhead, who's a warrior. And look at that onomatopoeia. That's how you say that. Okay, those are sound effects. And that is the sound of the cartoon of the Transformer transforming. And this is I'm going to show you the last page. And it quotes the movie. And it's Megatron goading Prime into a big fight. We're having a big fight scene. This is one more issue until we go until Daniel Warren Johnson's story ends. This is the penultimate issue. Oh, look at this! Look at that Starscream and the pew pew pew. I love the art in this book. It's so good. It's interesting that Daniel Warren Johnson won an Eisner for this, and he only drew the first 6 issues. He's been writing it, yeah, but he won the Eisner for Best Writer Artist this year, and he only did 6 issues. And Jorge Quiroga will do 18. And look at this. Oh wow, this is great. I love this. See, Optimus is holding Carly and Spike, and Megatron's like, "This is between me and him." So Megatron drops his arm cannon. He did the first 6, Lane. And so he puts down his he drops his cannon, his arm cannon, and then Optimus puts down his weapon or his thing, you know what I mean, or his strength, his compassion. So you got, I love this. This is all show don't tell. There's a lot going on here, with Optimus and Megatron putting down and just going down and going after each other in their final battle. It's great art. I mean, this is such a good story told. And we'll see where this goes, and I'll be tuned in every month. And that's about it. I read a couple of comics. It was a weird week, so I didn't get my my pirate chest, but that's fine. Sometimes I don't. But I did go back, and I did read Ultimates 15 by Dennis Camp. They have a fill-in artist. It's dumb. It's stupid. It's a lot of showing off She-Hulk's power and anger and rage. It's a lot. It's more of a typical superhero book coming from Dennis Camp as well, which is interesting and good for him. I mean, but it's still Dennis Camp. He's a Kefia Karen. I just don't care for that. Or just like seeing that come through in the story, blah blah blah. Well, everyone, you have a good week. We're going 2 hours now. It is supper time. I'm gonna make myself a couple of sliders, cheeseburger sliders with ketchup and mustard. My mouth is watering. A little hamburger buns. I got it all planned out. I love it when a plan comes together. But thank you so much for letting me tell you tales from the Boston FanExpo 2025 con. Upcoming conventions I will be at will be Wicked Boston Comic Con, October 5th, I believe. It's the first Sunday in October, and it's free. So you can go and get a ticket. And I gave a donation too, a $25 donation. It kind of covers the ticket price, but it covers expenses. It rents the hall, and it pays for maybe guests and shit. I think Ed McGuinness will be there. Is like the biggest name I saw, but it's a tiny con. But go support tiny cons. Check it out. It's free. And I'm going to check it out. There also will be Rhode Island Comic Con in I think it's the first weekend of November in Providence, Rhode Island. I might just get a hotel room and hang out and just check it out. That'd be fun. You just come home Sunday morning, and we'll see who goes to that too. But God bless, namaste, good luck. We will see you in those funny pages. Please like and subscribe, and thank you so very much from Pikachu and I here from our Boston studios here in the hub of the multiverse. Thank you for coming to our show, the Super Sully Sunday Stream, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, weekly. Check it out.